Many of the 500,000 hunters expected to participate in Minnesota's firearms deer season will travel across the state to do so, particularly hunters from the highly populated Twin Cities metro, said Steve Merchant, Wildlife Populations and Regulations Manager with the State Department of Natural Resources. So, here are some regulation changes, ranging from the statewide to the local, that will go into effect during the deer season beginning 30 minutes before sunrise Saturday, November 4. 1. Mandatory chronic wasting disease testing. There will be mandatory chronic wasting disease testing in several new areas throughout north-central, central and southeastern Minnesota. Chronic wasting disease has been found in captive deer farm populations in those places, so the DNR needs to see whether or not it has spread into the wild populations, Merchant said. The contagious neurological disease can affect deer, elk, and moose, degenerating the brain and causing emaciation, abnormal behavior, loss of bodily functions and death, according to the Chronic Wasting Disease Alliance. Hunters will need to bring any deer they shoot into a check stations, where DNR employees and volunteers will extract lymph nodes for testing. People should register their deer first, as they won't be able to at the check stations. In the past we did some statewide testing, but not to this extent. We didn't test as intensely. So this is a big effort. A really big effort. About as big as we can pull off, he said. People who hunt in a deer permit area, where without mandatory disease testing can still have deer checked, but will need to collect lymph node samples on their own and pay for a private test. 2. Lower harvest limits in intensive areas. The 8 deer permit areas listed as intensive harvest will have lower limits this year. Hunters can only take 3 deer, while they could have taken 5 deer previously. This change will mostly impact southeast and west central areas, Merchant said. DNR analysis showed that the change wouldn't cause any significant management differences, and most hunters only shoot 1 deer, regardless of limits, he said. 3. Hunters may sport a new color. This year, hunters can wear either blaze pink or blaze orange as approved safety colors. The change was approved by the legislature in 2017, after failing during the 2016 session. 4. Permit areas redefined in the Northeast. Several deer permit areas in the northeastern part of the state have undergone boundary changes, which will go into effect this season. The change won't significantly impact the experience of hunters in that area. Things will just look a little different when registering deer, but it will simplify boundaries in some areas and allow for better deer management in Minnesota's primary moose range, Merchant said. Within the primary moose range, deer will be managed at lower densities to reduce disease transmission between species and allow for other initiatives that will benefit the moose population, according to the DNR. 5. Portable stands allowed overnight, but only in a couple areas. Hunters can leave portable tree stands up overnight in some parts of the special Northwest Minnesota Wildlife Management Area November 1 through December 31, Merchant said. A deer hunter can't leave more than 2 portable stands in any one wildlife management area, however, and unoccupied portable stands left overnight may be used by any member of the public, according to the DNR. 6. Magnifying scopes allowed for muzzleloading rifles. When muzzleloader season begins on Saturday, November 25, all hunters will be allowed to use magnifying scopes, not only people with visual impairments. The change simplifies regulations and was made during the 2017 legislative session, Merchant said.